Hello, Yaxley infants. It's very lovely to be able to do an assembly for you today. And Mrs. Edson knows that I'd much rather be in school, but I know that at the moment that's not quite the right thing to do. But hopefully, either I'll get into school or maybe you'll get into church sometime later this term or in this school year, because I love coming in to talk to you. Now, some of you I won't know, and some of you won't know me at all. So if you're new to school, I hope that you are really enjoying school and settling in and finding some new friends and finding out what you do each day and how things work. So I hope you're really enjoying being back at school. Those of you that have come back to school and those of you that are at school for the first time, welcome. Well, I'm Sarah. Most people call me Reverend Sarah because that's my title, because my job is a vicar. And if I was in school, I'd say to you, what kind of things do you think a vicar does? Now, some of you will have met me at different things. So perhaps you've been in Sparks, maybe you've taken part in our Explorers and you've taken a bag and done some of our activities around the village. Maybe you've been at a christening or a baptism when a brother or sister or a friend has been baptised. Maybe you've been to a wedding when I've taken a wedding. What I love about my job as being a vicar is that it's so varied. Every day is different. No 2 days look the same. So I'm filming this on a Sunday. So today we had our services in church. And then we had an online service, a bit like what we're doing now. We do an online service as well for those that don't want to come into the church building yet. And this afternoon I've done a baptism or a christening, they're the same words. And I baptised a baby this afternoon. And then after this, after doing the fun assembly, I've got to go and write some boring papers. So my day is very, very varied. My weeks are varied, and I get to do lots of different things and meet lots of different people. And I've been in Yaxley for 2 years now. Before that, I was in Shropshire, which is completely the other side of the country, kind of over towards Wales, if you think about that direction. But I love it in Yaxley and I love meeting people. And I love it when I'm around the village and you wave at me because you recognise me. And I'll always wave back. And if I haven't met you in person, I'll always wave back because I love it when people wave at me and say hello. So why do I come onto the videos? Why do I come and do assemblies? Well, for lots of different reasons. Partly because I love coming into school and I love talking to all of you and listening to what you've got to tell me and just seeing the kind of things that you're doing. Another reason is I'm also a governor at your school, which means that I help in some of the running of the school with a group of other people, and obviously Mrs. Edson and Mr. Perez and all your different teachers, and all lots and lots of different people are involved in helping run a school because there are lots of different jobs to do. And so I get to come and do a little bit of that, which I really enjoy, and I get to know a bit about the running of the school as well. But also, as part of my job as a vicar, I love coming into school and talking about some of the Bible stories that I know and love, and I like to tell you some of these. Now, before the school holidays, if you remember, we were thinking about children in the Bible. We're thinking, where do we find children in the Bible? And we thought about some different children in the Bible. And there's one assembly that I wanted to do at the end of term, at the end of the school year. But Mrs. Edison was very kind to me because I had an awful lot going on at that point. And she said, don't worry, we can do some more assemblies in the new school year. So I've come to do that today, to do a new assembly for you as you start this new school year. And I hope you've had a lovely school holiday. A lovely break, and maybe you've done some new things, or maybe you've got to see some people that you've not been able to see for a long time. We had some days away in June, and I've got some more days away at the end of this month and then into October as well. So we're going to think about a Bible story about Jesus. Now we find Jesus in the New Testament of the Bible. The Bible's kind of in an older bit and a newer bit. And we find lots of stories about Jesus in the newer bit. But it's still an assembly, and it's still a reading about children. Because we have to think that the Bible was written 2,000 years ago. Now, I have not got enough, you've not got enough fingers or toes to count 2,000. But all you need to know is the Bible was written a very long time ago. And the Bible is the book that Christians use and Christians follow and Christians read. And we try to learn how to live our lives through the way that Jesus lived his life and the kind of things that he did. Now, I said to you, I've been at church this afternoon doing a baptism or a christening with a baby. And that's about welcoming children or adults. You can be an adult when you're baptised as well. Welcome them into the church family. And this story that I'm going to tell you is about welcoming children into a family, into God's family. Now, I've got this which sits on my desk. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to take it apart so that hopefully you can see it a bit better. So there's a hand. And then there's a tiny baby. And I love this. Those of you that have been in school for a while will probably have seen it before, and they sit together like this on my desk. Because for me, as a Christian, it reminds me that God cares about me and looks after me. But it also reminds me about how God cares about everybody. And so this is a story about Jesus caring for everyone. As I said, this was written 2,000 years ago, so we have to remember that things didn't look quite as they look today. And not all groups of people were seen as being important, and children weren't always seen as being important. Now, Jesus had led a really busy life. He was teaching people, he was making people better, he was going round about and just helping people where he could. And I think maybe that afternoon he got a little bit tired, and so he got for a sit down. And some parents, like your mums or your dads or your carers, brought these children and said, "We really like these children to see Jesus," because they knew that Jesus was a very special person. Now, Jesus had 12 particular friends, and we call them disciples, but 12 friends who he was teaching and helping them to know how they should live their lives. And so these friends said to these parents, "I'm really sorry, but Jesus is just too tired today, just too tired to see these children. So you just need to go away because we don't want to bother Jesus today." But do you know what? Jesus overheard them talking. And Jesus said, "That's not true. I want the children to come to me." And so the disciples must have looked a bit surprised at this point. But they let the parents, the mums and the dads and the carers bring those children and bring them to Jesus. And I imagine that Jesus chatted to them and talked to them, because I love coming and chatting to all of you. And I learn so much when I talk to all of you as well. And I love learning from you and listening to the kind of things you're doing. And so I imagine that Jesus listened to those things that these children were saying. And then he said a special prayer with them. The reading from the Bible tells us that he blesses them. But blessing people is like saying a special prayer. And he said a special prayer over them, and perhaps he thanked God for these children, and maybe for the parents as well. And they all went on their way at the end of the day. But I love this story because it helps us to remember that you are really important. You're really important. So I, as a Christian, think you're really important to God. But you'll be important to lots of other people as well, your friends and your teachers and your parents and your carers, lots of other people that you are important to. So we always in our assemblies have a moment of quiet, just a little bit of time to think about maybe something I've said, or maybe something you thought, "Oh, I must remember that." Or maybe you just want to think about who is important in your life. Maybe somebody is really important, you want to think about them today. So I'm going to take a moment of quiet, and then I'm going to pray. Now, praying is just talking to God. It's just saying something that maybe is on our hearts, and just saying maybe thank you to God, or sorry for something, or help us with whatever's going to happen. So at the end of the prayer, if you want to, you don't have to, then you can say Amen. And Amen means I agree with what you said. But we don't do a normal Amen. We do an Amen that has noises and actions, and we go Amen. Okay, you can't see my hands, can you, when we do that? So at the end of the prayer, that's what we're going to do. So let's have a moment of quiet, and then I will pray. I wonder what kind of things you thought about. You don't have to tell me. You can keep them in your heads and maybe hold those thoughts through the day. So I'm going to pray. Loving God, we thank you that each one of us is special to you and special to lots of different people. And we pray that today at school we will know how special every child and every adult is. And that we'll look after each other, we'll care for each other, and maybe we'll look out for those people who are lonely in the playground today. So we pray that you'll be with us and you'll help us today. And we're going to do Amen. Are you ready? Amen. Brilliant. Well done. If you've not been in assemblies before, don't worry, you will get used to the kind of things we do. We talk about all kinds of things. And I'm sitting in my study to record at the moment. Sometimes I go across to church, and record from there. But we've got some building work going on. And in my study, I've got lots of exciting things. I quite like Disney as well. You'll find out soon. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will join you for another online assembly, maybe in a couple of weeks or so. Look after yourselves, Yaxley infants. Take care. Bye.